The Washington Commanders are still undefeated in the Josh Harris era and improved to 2-0 for the 2023 season. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Welcome into the Commanders Report, and we are doing our post-game coverage here from this 35-33 victory here in Week 2 versus the Denver Broncos on the road. A very impressive win for the Washington Commanders this week. And if you are so psyched that the Commanders have started this season with that 2-0 feeling, if you're feeling that feeling right now, spam W down in the chat. Really do appreciate all the support. Now let's break down this matchup today. 35-33 final score. Russell Wilson threw up a prayer. Hail Mary. They ended up tipping it to a receiver for a touchdown. Unfortunately for the Broncos, they still needed a 2-point conversion. Benjamin St-Juste knocks it away in the final moments. Here are the stats for the Commanders offensively. 27 for 39. Sam Howell looked fantastic today. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. The offensive line let him down a couple of times today, but overall, I think Sam Howell really did a great job. I'm going to be talking about him more in today's show. Brian Robinson, 18 carries, 87 yards, and 2 tutties on the ground. John Bates, 3 receptions for 46 yards. He was your leading receiver. Russell Wilson was 18 to 31 today. Was really good to start. Second half, not so great. His fumble in the second quarter was really the catalyst for this Commanders comeback because the Broncos were up 21-3 in this football game until Russell Wilson fumbled. It was Jamin Davis that knocked the football out, and he gets my first game ball today, where Jamin Davis was simply pretty darn good, but the reason why he gets a game ball specifically, not just because he was good in coverage or that he was a solid tackler, but because he was the catalyst today. Right? The Broncos had the football up 21-3 in Commanders territory, and then Jamin Davis forces a fumble on Russell Wilson, and then the game is just not the same. The Commanders go down, score a touchdown, they get a field goal before half to make it one possession, and then the Commanders' offense was just simply brilliant in the second half. And by the way, the defense played their butts off in the second half as well. The catalyst for that was Jamin Davis. Simply fantastic. Third year out of Kentucky, really started to come into his own at the end of 2022. He was fantastic in this one, and he was the catalyst for today's comeback. Then another game ball goes to QB1 himself, Sam Howell. And my biggest takeaway from this football game, man, is that Sam Howell has solidified himself as the guy here in Washington, at least for now. Of course, he's facing some tough defenses in the weeks to come versus Buffalo and Philly, but today he was simply brilliant. 27 for 39, 299 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air for Sam. He drove this team down the field consistently and effectively. Eric Bieniemy gave him nice, easy reads for him to take advantage of, and he got through his progressions really well. You look at some of the really talented first-round picks that have been drafted way ahead of Sam Howell in this league. The Zach Wilsons of the world, the Justin Fieldses of the world. These guys have a tough time seeing the football field and getting through their reads. Sam Howell doesn't have that problem whatsoever, man. He's getting through his reads nicely. He's getting to his check down when he needs to. And then the accuracy is really good. There was only one throw today where he was really off, and it was on a crucial third down. But overall, really great stuff by Sam Howell. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if Jacoby Brissett's a New York Jet here in the coming hours. Now, sound off down there in the comments section. What is your one-word reaction to the Commanders' win today? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here. Just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. All right, now let's get to John Bates, who, has kind of been an afterthought in the tight end conversation this year. Of course, it's been Logan Thomas versus Cole Turner. I personally like Cole Turner a lot, but John Bates really showed out not only as a blocker today, because he blocked pretty darn well today as well, but as a receiver. He's the leading receiver for the Washington Commanders today, or at least I think that's what it was listed on our scoreboard. 46 yards receiving today on 3 catches. Had a really great, impressive catch to put this team into field goal range there at the end of the first half. And that momentum swing there at the end of the first half was massive for this team. John Bates, somebody that's been kind of an afterthought here in the tight end room, really showed out today. And kudos to Sam Howell for getting the football as well. Then another game ball here goes to Brian Robinson Jr. B-Rob, 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 B-Rob. He was fantastic today, man. 2 touchdowns today for Brian Robinson on the ground. 18 carries for 87 yards today. We thought he was really efficient, thought he was good. It was tough for him to get things going early on in today's game, but the run game really came alive in the second half, and he got 2 really big rushes for touchdowns to kind of put this game away and put the Commanders in a position to win. Love to see B-Rob get into the end zone, especially after everything that he's been through. It's good to see this Commanders run game get some juice and some mojo going here heading into week 3. And then the final game ball today goes to the first-round rookie himself, my pick to win Defensive Rookie of the Year for 2023, Emmanuel Forbes. Now, I think it showed today that Forbes is a perfect fit for Jack Del Rio's system. Of course, had an interception, 2 pass breakups, and 2 tackles. I'm guessing when the PFF grades come out for this game, Emmanuel Forbes is probably going to be the highest-graded Commanders defender, especially in the secondary. He was absolutely fantastic today. Almost had an incredible second interception as well, a one-handed grab when Russell Wilson tried to make a desperate throw outside of the pocket. But man, Forbes has looked fantastic to this point, in my opinion. He had that game-winning pass breakup last week versus the Arizona Cardinals. He had a big interception in this one. I just see the arrow pointing up for this kid, and just every time he hits the field, I'm more and more impressed with his ability. Now, before we get into the keys to victory and how I think the Commanders did in this football game, check out our friends at BetUS. Go chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code CHAT125 for a 125% deposit bonus on deposits of $100 to $600. Now, what does that mean? Put in $100 to $600 on the BetUS website via deposit. They're going to give you 125% of that money back to you to use on your bets. So if you put in $100, for example, you get $125 additional dollars to use on your bets, $225 total for just a $100 deposit. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. If you want to take advantage of that for this year's NFL season, go chatsports.com/bet and use promo code CHAT125. Now let's go through my keys to victory that I laid out in my pregame show and my preview for this week, and I'll tell you how I think the Commanders did. Number one, did they handle the altitude? They absolutely did. I thought offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy did a great job getting the ball in the hands of different people. I thought Ron Rivera did a good job keeping guys fresh, getting some rotations in there, and at the end, they were still fresh enough to get this victory here by a final score of 35-33. It's a tough place to go to, man. In Power Field at Mile High. I mean, especially early in the season when you're not in mid-season condition. It's tough to go there in the altitude when you're not used to it. Usually the Broncos do really good at home to start the season. This year they start 0-2, not so good. But good job by the Commanders, Ron Rivera, to have this team ready to go to handle the elements. Then did they stay disciplined today? I think absolutely yes, they did. They looked fantastic today, especially in the second half. Early on, no discipline whatsoever. Coverage bust led to a Marvin Mims touchdown, which was huge for the Broncos. And early on, let's just face it, Sean Payton on his script was fantastic. Okay, he was fantastic going up against Jack Del Rio's defense. He knew exactly what he wanted to do against their offense, and he took advantage of that. So early on, it wasn't great. And then obviously the Hail Mary, you got to make sure that doesn't end up in the hands of a Broncos receiver. But overall, I thought they stayed pretty darn disciplined. They didn't have too many big turnovers or penalties in this one. They stayed overall pretty darn solid in this one, so I'll give them a check mark on that one. Then also, did they spread the ball around? Okay, I thought they did. Eric Bieniemy did a great job getting the hands of B-Rob and Terry. I thought Terry had a really good game today, despite being covered by Pat Surtain a lot, especially when they put Mathis, their second cornerback, on Terry today. They made it a point to get Terry the football, which I love. Then also Jahan Dotson. He didn't have quite as big of a game as I thought he was going to, but he still got him the football a couple times. And then even John Bates, for Christ's sake, got involved and was the leading receiver today. So it was just a clinic on how to win a football game at Mile High Stadium, in my opinion, by Eric Bieniemy, by spreading the football around. And then, of course, kudos to Sam Howell for executing the game plan. And finally, did you play your game? I went into this game saying you got to just do what you do best. You got to play, your zone coverages that you love to run on defense. You have to do the shotgun stuff that you love to do on offense. And they absolutely did that today, and they did it very effectively, particularly in the second half. The pass rush really worked well for them. The pass rush is so critical to this defense because Jack Del Rio likes to put so many defenders back into coverage that you usually only rushes with 4 or sometimes even 3 rushers. So you have to get home with those front 4, and that's what they were able to do in the second half. And then on offense, man, Sam Howell executed the game plan perfectly, in my opinion. He was awesome today. Definitely all 4 check marks today. which means, of course, they ended up with a victory. This is what I'm telling you, man. If you get your keys to victory down, you come away with W's. This week, the Commanders got it done, and they ended up coming away with the victory. So maybe they should listen to me more often. Now, at subs for Washington Dubs here at the Commanders Report, we've got Commanders coverage throughout the 2023 season, post-game coverage, previews. We've got injury news and updates throughout the week. We've got trade rumors that are going to be coming up here with Jacoby Brissett. A bunch of great and exciting things happening for the Washington Commanders here in 2023. You're not going to want to miss it. So sub for Washington Dubs today. Now some injury updates here to finish things out here. Logan Thomas left in the second quarter after catching his touchdown today. 2 receptions for 22 yards and a touchdown, but he got a hit. Massive hit by Kareem Jackson, straight to the head. Kareem Jackson launched his head straight into the face of Logan Thomas. He had to leave the game, but he was able to jog off the field on his own power, which is great to hear for Logan. I hope he's all right. He does have a concussion, did not return to the game. It'll be interesting to see how much more time he's going to have to miss because we know he's been dealing with some injuries during the preseason. Also, Daron Payne left the game with what seemed like a leg injury. What's that? He returned to the game is what I'm being told here by Coop, which is good to hear. It looked like an ankle, maybe a turned ankle, but the fact that he came back into the game shows me that he's going to be fine in the long haul here. It might be an ankle sprain. We'll see what happens with Daron here in the injury report moving forward. But 5 tackles for him today. He was an absolute menace when he was on the field today. 2 tackles for loss and a sack for Daron. He was fantastic. He was worth every single penny that the Commanders were paying him for this one. Really do appreciate all the support, guys. That's going to be it for me today. Again, 35-33. Some final thoughts. Make sure you watch out for a potential Jacoby Brissett trade because I think Sam Howell has really solidified himself as the guy here in Washington. We'll see how these next couple weeks play out, but man, I am very encouraged with what I'm seeing from QB1 right now. And then also, man, this defense is doing a fantastic job, in my opinion, doing everything that they need to do to come away with victories. Last week was Montez Sweat making some big plays. Today it was Emmanuel Forbes and Jamin Davis. I just think under Ron Rivera, this team fights and they win close football games, and we've seen that over the first 2 weeks. And now it really does allow you to play with house money going into weeks 3 and 4 versus the Bills and the Eagles. If you can win one of those, you're at 3-1 going into Thursday Night Football versus the Bears, and you're feeling fantastic about yourself. All right, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate you stopping by today. Make sure you click that subscribe button. And until next time, hail to the Commanders.